Why?
Greetings. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us on this live webinar, Navigating the Path to Riverside Prep. First, I'd like to note that this is being completely recorded and zoomed out to the entire world via our student production team of the Eagle News Network, which we here call ENN. So I would like to thank you young men for doing this, and this is just a highlight of some of the opportunities our students have here. At this time, I would like to say at Riverside, we believe that the rewards are as great as the challenge. And during our short time together on this webinar, you will hear how some of those things come back together. You're going to hear things about mentorship, brotherhood, and academic achievement, and those are the pillars that we educate our young men through. At this time, I'd like to tell you that Riverside is about an hour and a half north of Atlanta, Georgia, and the closest airport is Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport that has daily flights from around the world that are nonstop, so it is very easy to get to our academy. With that being said, I would also like to note that the number one question that has been submitted through all of our agents that have graciously joined us on this webinar is what our student population is. So please know that currently our student population is 230 students and our international makeup is 14% of that. So we have just over 30 international students and they do hail from around the world. So at this time, I do have a great makeup of our senior leadership and some selected students. And at this time, I would like to introduce those. So we are going to begin with our first student, Mr. Navarro. Could you please introduce yourself?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Hello, I'm Cadet First Sergeant Emiliano Navarro. I'm from Cancun, Mexico. I'm 17 years old. I'm currently in 11th grade. I've been 2 years at the academy. I'm Charlie Company First Sergeant, which means that I'm in charge of around 50 kids. I'm in charge of the accountability, the company formations, the overall well-being and health of the company, and I support all the chain of command. I'm also the International Cadet Committee Vice President. I'm the National Honor Society member, Coron Society member, and I'm currently in the marching band and the varsity soccer, but I also like to play football.
Thank you. Mr. Karinan Gufu.
Hello, I am young Karinan Gufu. I am 17 years old from Kigali, Rwanda, living in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. This is my second year here at the academy. I came here as a sophomore and now a junior. I'm a first lieutenant and serve as the role of Charlie Company Executive Officer. As Charlie Company Executive Officer, I assist the company commander in all of his duties. I'm second in command. I am in charge of medication and making sure all the opportunity times are well ensured and fulfilled.
Great, thank you. And Mr. Lee.
Hello, I'm Cadet Nick Lee. I'm Cadet First Lieutenant Nick Lee. I'm from Da Nang, Vietnam. I came to Riverside as a freshman, and I'm now a junior at the academy. I'm the battalion S1, the adjutant officer. My role here is to maintain accountability, to make sure that cadets got their awards for the uniform, their ribbons, and their arcs, and to keep the battalion roster updated at all times. I'm the member of the National Honor Society, the International Students Committees. I play euphonium in the band, and I'm the member of the two-time national champion Raider team.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. At this time, I would like to begin the introductions of our staff, first starting with the President of Riverside. Sir?
Morning, I'm Stas Procheski. I'm a retired colonel from the United States Army, active duty, 26 years, field artillery. My last 11 years, I served at the United States Military Academy at West Point as a professor of engineering there, and also as the chief financial officer and head of the rowing program on the Hudson River. After West Point, I retired and became a college and university president. And so I have experience at the collegiate level. Many high schools try to figure out what colleges want. Well, as you hear the introductions today of this team and some others that I'll describe a little later in our presentation, we have a college level team here at the high school level. We offer college level classes for college credit here, as well as advanced placement. You'll hear more about that from the dean in a few minutes. After I retired from a college and a university presidency, I was asked to come out of retirement and serve here as president of Riverside Military Academy. I've been here for 5 years now, I look forward to continuing to serve.
Thank you. With that being said, I'd like to hear from our academic dean, Dr. Moore.
Greetings. My name is Kathy Moore and I'm the Dean of Academics here at Riverside. My background includes a doctorate degree that is a merge of education and counseling, which has been very helpful to me over the years in working in higher ed and now working at the high school and middle school level. I believe that by preparing teachers to teach in the most modern ways with 21st century teaching, that we can therefore best know what we need to do with curriculum with our students. I've spent a large part of my career working with carefully selected K-12 schools to show pre-service teachers what the best teaching looks like. And I've brought that now to Riverside so that we can provide a world-class education for our students here. I have a background in single-gender education. I believe in that as the process that is the best to be used with educating young men. And part of what that includes is creating a boy-friendly environment, one that is engaging. So sitting through lecture classes is not the best way for young men to learn. They learn best when they are engaged and when they are challenged in their thinking, when they have a safe place for asking questions that they might otherwise be reluctant to ask in a co-ed classroom. We have peer environments here at Riverside where our cadets learn from one another, and that's not just true in the academic part of the school. That you will find is true across the entire campus, where our cadets learn from one another, whether it is in the barracks or on the playing field in sports. So bottom line, we want the experience here for our cadets to be engaging, challenging, and appealing to them. One extra bonus of having single gender education is that it removes the distraction of going to school with young women during an adolescent time where that could be a rather large distraction. With our academic programs, we meet students where they are. We have a college prep track, an advanced track, and also an honors track. Our most advanced courses, the advanced track, include advanced placement courses, which are the courses that are externally regulated and externally tested. We have dual enrollment courses, which are offered from colleges both within Georgia and outside of the state as well. With the dual enrollment courses, our students have the opportunity to complete their high school graduation requirements while they are also earning college credits. We have college articulations with 4 colleges where admission to the college is a very smooth process as long as one meets the criteria for admission. Those partnerships include Norwich University, Georgia Military College, Virginia Military Institute, and the University of North Georgia. We offer signature programs for students that have an interest in learning more about careers that are industry standard, high earning, and lots of opportunity for employment. Those programs include cybersecurity, where our cadets are learning more about how to safeguard information in a digital world, and aerospace engineering, where our cadets have the opportunity to learn not only about why planes fly and how, but then also they have opportunities to actually engage in flight lessons while they are here at Riverside. Additionally, we have a rich array of fine arts programs. We have a band that has performed not only around the country but also around the world. We have audio video production, which we are utilizing, as Rob mentioned previously, to do our live stream today. We have art classes that include drawing, painting, and pottery, and then also creative writing that includes photography. So we like to think that we have something for everybody, and because of our small class sizes, we are able to build a planned course sequence for our students that will be appealing and challenging to them, so that as they begin to apply for colleges, those colleges will recognize that they have completed a rigorous plan of study here at Riverside. Our academic curriculum is a larger part of the curriculum here on campus. We have a number of initiatives where we begin with things that start in academics, but they're also carried out throughout the course of the campus. One example would be that with studying for classes, for example, the work starts in the classroom, but then homework takes place in the barracks. And you'll hear more about our TAC officers, but our TAC officers are an important component in making sure that our cadets stay on task and are getting their homework done, that they are making good grades in their classes. And so what I like to think of Riverside as being is a web of support for students, where there's no student who isn't connected to multiple adults here at Riverside, and that they are mentored by these adults and cared for by these adults. And it just creates a very seamless situation for the cadets, where we try to make failure very difficult to happen. Finally, I would like to mention our ESL program. Our ESL program is available for all of our students at no charge. We assess our students when they arrive on campus and determine the best plan moving forward for those students. We do have ESL classes in which they can enroll. Our ESL teachers work in concert with our content area teachers, so that the work that they're doing in the ESL classes is meaningful and connected to what they're doing in their academic classes. And the last thing I would say about ESL is that we also facilitate the process of making sure that our students are able to take the TOEFL at the appropriate time in their education.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Moore. At this time, I would like to introduce the newest member of our staff who joined us from the United Kingdom, so Lieutenant Colonel Pooley.
Hello, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Pooley, and I'm the Commandant of Cadets here at Riverside. And as Rob just mentioned, I'm a new arrival here. I'm very fresh, and that brings with it some added advantages in my role. My role encompasses the life of the cadets beyond the classroom and the sports field. I have responsibility for the team of adults that look after the cadets in those periods of time, and my job is to develop the programs and leadership development of the cadets throughout their time at Riverside. As a new arrival at Riverside, I then appreciate what it's like to be an international. I've arrived in this country of America, and I'm learning lots about its culture, and it's an exciting process for me, and I hope that will be the same for the sons of the families that you represent. To give you a bit of my background, I've been in education for 30 years, as well as my military career. So I've run concurrently both careers, back in the United Kingdom, working with the Army and the Reserve for about 13 or 14 years, and then moving into the cadet world in the UK, in which I still actually have a serving role at this current moment in time, promoting international exchanges between the US and the UK. I've also been an educator throughout that time. So I've taught sciences, particularly biology. I'm a sports coach, and most importantly, I've been a housemaster. And for those of you who are familiar with that term across the boarding community in the United Kingdom, that is somebody who has a really intense and important relationship on the pastoral front with the students who are boarding at any particular school. I've done that along with my family for those 30 years. We've lived and worked in that environment closely. All three of my own children have been through boarding, so I understand the process not only from the desk side as the housemaster, but also from the parent side, and the great emotional and financial investment that is involved with that. And my wife and I have thoroughly enjoyed our time working in the UK in that environment, and we're eagerly looking forward now to the rest of the future for us in our working lives, making an impact here at Riverside. And so I look forward to spending some time with the sons from the families that you represent in the near future.
Thank you. So once again, my name is Rob Parker. I am the Assistant Director of Admissions for recruiting here at Riverside, and I'm also the International Counselor. I've had the distinct pleasure of meeting so many of you agents as I've traveled the globe, spreading the word of what Riverside has to offer. I believe this webinar is going to be so impactful for you as agents as you go back and work with your families, because during this time it's great to hear from me, and I can always tell you what it means to be at Riverside, but hearing it from our leadership team, from our students, I believe that carries so much weight as you walk back and have new things to talk to your families about. As this is going to go, I'm going to have some questions and answers that we've prepared for our staff and our students so that you can hear from them. And then we're also going to conclude this by part of the RSVP process was you could submit questions of your own. And we've had quite a few agents submit questions that they'd like to have answered. We're going to do everything we can to have every question answered, but I promise conversations do not stop here. I look forward to connecting with so many more of you as we move forward. So without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and get into our questions. And I'd like to start with our students because I believe their voice is so powerful. So I'm going to start with Cadet Navarro. At this time, Cadet Navarro, could you please talk about how being mentored has helped you enter Riverside and how it's prepared your leadership to give it back to newer students?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So I believe that mentorship has a very important role at the academy. It's like a cycle that starts whenever you first get here as a ROC, which stands for Recruit on Campus, and you're taught by the most senior cadets the basics of the academy, such as how to shine your shoes, how to make your bed, and how to march. Throughout your life at the academy, you learn more things, and it gets to a point where now is your time, is your duty to pass down the information. I'm currently in the position of teaching and learning at the same time. How I said, I'm Charlie First Sergeant, which means that I'm learning how to teach older kids because the 65% of my company are seniors and I'm a junior. We have many role models here at the academy. My cadet role model was Ruben Barahona. He was a cadet here at the academy, and he taught me many things on his time here. And now that he is an alumni and he graduated, we still keep contact, and he keeps teaching me things every day. He taught me many things, how not to be afraid of taking charge, how to have confidence. I think this was very important, and it impacted a lot of my life. I'm going to speak for every cadet here at the academy. We have chosen at least one or more role models out of the faculty and staff. My role model from the faculty and staff is my tag officer, First Sergeant Piper. He taught me many things, such as how to be professional, the importance of accountability, and how to do things right. I think that these things have completely prepared me for my life outside of the academy.
That's a great answer. Now, Mr. Navarro, you just kind of talked about, your life outside of the academy. What comes next for you when as you prepare to leave Riverside?
So, once I graduate, I would like to go to IE Business School in Madrid, and I would like to graduate with a dual degree in Business Administration and Data Analytics.
Great. And I know I know great things will be expected of you. So, Mr. Karenin Gufu, could you talk about how academics have challenged you and prepared you for your next steps as you also are preparing to leave Riverside?
Yes, sir, I can. When I first came to the academy, I had a really poor GPA. I had missing assignments all the time, and overall, I didn't put that much effort into my academics. When I came here, I realized that I only had 2 years left of my high school career, and I needed to change something in order to get into my college, my college I want to go to, which is Texas Christian University. I decided to change my life around and focus on academics. within my first year here, I maintained a grade point average of 4.0, and I am now well into my goal of reaching the admired college, and it looks like by the end of next year I will get into many colleges, which I don't think I would have been able to if I had not gotten the opportunities here, like the opportunity time where I can go one-on-one with my teachers and they can explain to me anything I don't understand or something I'm struggling on. And one thing I can talk about is the AP classes that I have taken. They give me that extra boost on my GPA, and I couldn't have been where I am without those, and I'm grateful for that.
Great answer. And I'm sure the dean is smiling very broadly as she hears how that has helped shape you and how you've turned your academics around. Could you please tell me a little bit more? You talked about some teachers that were instrumental to your academic turnaround. Could you please tell me about an instance where one of our teachers has helped shift you into that direction?
Yes, sir. When I first came here, I couldn't write English that well. I could write it to a point where you could understand it, but it wasn't to the best of my ability. And Mr. Murray, who was my American literature teacher, he taught me first the basics of how to write an essay. And from then on, the whole year, I was by the end of the year, I've scored a perfect mark on my final essay, which was pretty much unheard of. And from now on, I can write essays near a collegiate level, and I'm so proud of myself, and I would like to say thank you again to Mr. Murray.
Thank you so much. We'll definitely pass that on to Mr. Murray. Mr. Lee, we talk a lot here about brotherhood. Could you please talk about how the brotherhood has helped you transition from Vietnam to being a student here in the U.S.?
Yes, sir. I believe that being a student at the academy, especially when you're from another country like me, brotherhood, it's really a huge impact on our daily basis. Arriving at Riverside as a new boy, it depends a lot on not just your TAC officer, but the old cadets, the old boys that have been here for a long time. Hope you guided you through your first month at the academy. They help build connection with you, build the confidence and the leadership skills. And even after you leave the academy, you still got that close brother that you can contact, and you can make sure that you can ask questions, and you basically build friends for life.
That's great. Can you talk about how some of that brotherhood, have you had any contact with those brothers outside of the academy when you go home on breaks?
So during summer break or winter break, I went home. I still in contact with some of my brothers. I share them some of my footage when I'm in Vietnam, what I'm doing. I share some of my video, what activities I do during the summer, some of my cultures, and it's really a grateful experience for us to look after each other, even we're off campus.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lee. That's good to hear. You've heard from our students, so I just want to go right in now to our faculty. Colonel Przewski, could you please share with our agents what makes Riverside such a great place to educate these young men?
Honestly, I think it's all about beliefs. What you as agents are doing, you're representing families, and you're trying to get the right fit between that family's son, that family's guardian, and the institution that you're going to send them to in a foreign country. And so when you send somebody away, whether it's from America, even somebody locally, or if it's coming from around the world, you want to send your child to a place that has beliefs that are similar to your beliefs. I think we can do that by clearly telling you today what our beliefs are. First off, we believe in their son. If they ask, what is it that's different about Riverside? We believe in their sons. We believe in their potential. We believe that we can take them from wherever they are and get them to that potential through our process. We use a military discipline and a military model to get them there, but we don't try to put them into the military. We just use that model to place structure, to place accountability, and to place leadership within their grasp. As mentioned earlier, we use 3 pillars or 3 legs to do that, and we talk about that through mentorship, through brotherhood, and through academic excellence. You've already heard about the academic excellence, and I think the best story about that academic excellence is, where do our students wind up after graduation? We could talk about the quality of our programs, but if those programs don't lead to the colleges of choice, if they don't lead to the top universities and colleges throughout America, then what point is it? And I would argue that if you take a look at our graduation rate, which is over 95%, and if you look at our placement into colleges, it's pretty incredible, the types of schools, from the Ivy League schools to the military academies, to the state and public universities, and they receive great scholarships when they go to there. Mentorship. They're mentored not just by fellow cadets, not mentored just by their peers. They're also mentored by faculty and staff. Over 40 members of the staff and faculty have chosen to live right here on campus so that they're available constantly to these cadets. They'll meet them before class, they'll meet them after class, they'll meet them on a weekend if they need to. They make themselves available to the cadets so they can continue this, what happens in the classroom or what happens on the ball field, that can continue after that event is over. So the mentorship is an important part 24/7 here. Brotherhood is another aspect you've heard from the cadets who are why we're here. They talk about that brotherhood long after they leave here. In fact, we raise about $3 million a year that comes in from our alumni. People who have graduated from here, got on to college, created businesses, and worked for non-governmental organizations, became politicians, or went into the military. If they didn't believe in who we were, they wouldn't be providing millions of dollars back to us each year, so that that opportunity in the form of financial aid can go to other families so that their sons can also come here, experience the mentorship, the brotherhood, and the academic excellence that Riverside offers. We believe in small class sizes, and I don't know who wouldn't believe in that, but we believe in small class sizes. We believe that existing for 116 years, we've been in continuous operation and accredited throughout that entire period of time by an independent accrediting body. We believe that that's evidence about the excellence of our programs as well. We believe that leadership leads to all of these good things happening. So students, when they arrive, they do arrive as what's called a recruit on campus, a ROC. They then become a cadet, and they become a cadet at the private level, and then they learn through this mentorship process, through these opportunities throughout the campus, they learn to grow in their leadership. First, they have to learn how to lead themselves. They have to learn self-discipline. They learn that pretty quickly. As soon as they can demonstrate that confidence and abilities to be self-disciplined and to take self-initiative and self-advocacy, we then say, you're going to be a squad leader. You're now responsible for somebody else other than yourself. So you have to maintain your own self-discipline, because leadership requires being a good role model for those below you. As soon as you can show that you can handle the responsibility of leading and mentoring somebody else, well, then we go from 1 or 2 people to 10 people, to 20 people, to 40 people, to 60 people, all the way up to where our battalion commander is responsible for the health, the welfare, the academic and intellectual development, the spiritual development, the physical development, and the accountability of well over 200 cadets. And we've had international students who came here speaking no English rise to become the battalion commander, the highest ranking and the officer or the cadet officer who's responsible for the most cadets on our campus. We believe in structure, and we have that here. But we also believe in letting them understand why structure is so important, structuring their time, structuring their priorities, and they take that and instill that to where it becomes natural for them to choose structure over haphazardness in their pursuit of studies, in pursuit of religion, in pursuit of sports, whatever it is they're after. They begin to understand that structure will get them there in a much faster fashion. And finally, we believe in partnerships. We believe in partnering with our parents, and we expect our parents to be in constant contact with us, and they can do so remotely through the web, through phone calls, through the internet. They can observe. We broadcast sporting events and major events on campus, so that if the parents cannot travel here to the country to observe their sons, they can watch it live, or they can watch it videotaped, as this will be available to other agents later on after this is completed. They can watch it at any time that's convenient for them. but it allows them to remain in contact with their sons from afar and see what's going on here live as we go about our day. So I think that's the important part, is that we're trying to match our beliefs with the beliefs of your clients, and what they believe about their sons, we believe even more. We do believe in that potential, and again, we believe we can get them there.
Thank you very much, sir. With that being said, one of those ways, of course, we're here for academics. Dr. Moore has already spoken kind of about the different tracks that we have within our academics. But a big question, of course, from the international community when I've traveled around, I always get questions about our ESL. How do we place our students in ESL? And then, do they ever test out of that? Dr. Moore, can you kind of expand upon that and let those agents know?
Absolutely, I'd be glad to. With our ESL, students absolutely can place out. They can reach a proficiency level to where their teachers, and both in their content areas and also their ESL teacher, agree that they don't necessarily need the support of being in an ESL class along with the rest of their curriculum. We make that decision also in conjunction with talking with our students to make sure they're feeling confident enough to not need that support. But even once our students exit out of ESL support, they always have the opportunity of going back to an ESL teacher on campus and receiving additional support if they need that. And because we want our students to feel confident and to thrive and excel as much as possible.
Great. Now, one thing that has been touched on multiple times, Dr. Morse, we've talked about the class size. Could you please talk about our student-teacher ratio?
I would be glad to. Our average class size is 10 or less students in the classroom. Our maximum class size is 16. So there's no place that you can hide in one of our classrooms. They can hide. They're going to be sought out to engage in the class, and teachers don't hesitate to do that. If somebody is sleeping, which only happens occasionally, or if somebody is off task, maybe they're just trying to get that homework assignment done for another class, their teacher's going to work with them and let them know when it's appropriate and when it's not. We do have students with us who have ADD or ADHD, and we're able to accommodate their needs as well. It's very easy to put someone in the front of a classroom when the classroom only holds at a max 16 students. And then also we offer the opportunity for students who have accommodations to have extended time for testing or for assignments as needed. And we have a learning specialist on campus who handles those needs and who works in close collaboration with the classroom teachers.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Moore. Colonel Pooley, in your introduction, you mentioned that you are the commandant. That is a very unique role to schools that utilize a military model. Could you please kind of expand upon what the commandant is and what you are responsible for while educating these young men?
Yes, I'd be glad to. Our mission is quite simply in loco parentis. We are here to represent the parents of the sons, to give those boys the maximum encouragement and motivation and mentorship to be the best versions of themselves, because that's what all parents want. That's what they're investing in, the time and money in, and that is what we want to do here as part of our mission. And to do that, we have quite a large team. So we've touched on the teacher advisor council officers, the TAC officers, most of whom have had previous military service, so they've worked with young men in a different environment to get the best out of them to achieve that mission, and now they're bringing their skills to Riverside to do the same thing here. On top of that level of support, we've got the infirmary and the health team. They look after the day-to-day welfare of the children in terms of their health and development, and also their well-being, along with counsellors who look at their mental health strategies if they require that sort of support as well. So it's a broad spectrum of people here available to support the sons of the families that you're representing. And all of those people work hand in hand with the academic faculty and the sports coaches. This is a holistic approach, a wraparound care system. That is the advantage of a boarding school over all other schools. Everybody is focused on the same task, and whether the young man we're looking at is in playing baseball, basketball, he's in the classroom learning about trigonometry, or he's back in the barracks, maybe just learning how to get on with other boys around him, or to look after himself, get dressed in the morning and be on time. All of these are part and parcel of his development. And most importantly as well, we have a chaplain and a chaplaincy team who look after the spiritual welfare of the boys here. So the Commandant office, if you want to call it that, is a big piece of the life of the cadets here, and we all enjoy our role in developing and growing the young men in our care.
Great. Thank you so much. Now, you touched very briefly on the religious spiritual opportunities of our cadets. Could you please expand upon that just a little bit more and let people know what those opportunities can be?
So the school is open to cadets of all faiths and none, and we would probably put it under an umbrella of a title called character development. We're looking to develop everybody's individual character, and for some cadets or students, they will take a spiritual route to do this. And whatever your chosen religion, the Commandant's Office and the Academy will look to support any practices and religious observances that are taking place. For example, I know we've got some cadets who are from the Muslim religion and they're currently undergoing Ramadan, and so the routine of the day is altered to fit the requisite requirements of their religion. If your cadet has no religion, then there are plenty of people who will speak to them on a one-to-one basis about their emotional state and their philosophical beliefs, and everyone is willing to discuss and promote deeper thought about where we're all going on our journey here together.
Excellent. And I like to put people on the spot. So, Mr. Navarro, have you had an opportunity to take in some of those religious opportunities? Can you talk about that?
Yes, sir. So as a chaplain acolyte, I expressed how I felt about taking chapel in English, which is my second language. So now on Tuesdays we have someone from a local church to come here and give us Spanish Bible studies, which me and most of my Spanish talking peers have gone every single Tuesday. And I think that's a really good opportunity for us to enrich our religion in our own languages.
Great. Thank you so much. I will say right now, what we're going to do is we're going to start fielding questions that were submitted by agents. And like I said, again, I'm going to try to get to as many as I possibly can while we're being respectful of your time. And like I said, that conversation doesn't end here. So with that being said, a lot of questions are asked about what the daily schedule is for the boys. Mr. Karenangufu, could you please talk about that for us?
Yes, sir, I can. The daily schedule looks a little bit like this. The cadets will wake up around 6:30 and we'll have breakfast around 7:30. Between that time, there's different things that happen. We have formation and you clean the bathrooms, but generally it's time to clean up. And from after breakfast, from 8:20 to 8:55, there's opportunity time where you can go, as we talked about, go talk to your teachers, go see another cadet if you need help, anything you need. And then we have academic time from 8:55 to 3:35. After that, sports 4 to 6. Dinner will be served around 6:30, and then we have mandatory study time from 7:30 to 9 p.m. and then lights out will be at 10 p.m.
Excellent. That's a great snapshot of our day. And then also that goes into weekend activities, because those are extremely important to students when they come and they visit this country. Mr. Navarro, could you please speak about what opportunities are available for off-campus activities and anything else you might like to add?
Yes, sir. So on the weekends, mostly on the weekends, we have the community service. We have the opportunity to do our community service, but we also have fun off-campus activities and trips such as the Mall of Georgia, laser tag. We go bowling. We go to the arcade. Or, for example, right now I am very excited because I'm preparing to go to this trip in Barcelona, Spain, and Paris in France, which I think that is a really good opportunity.
Great, thank you. Now, one fun thing about having an international commandant is he's also excited about those opportunities as well, internationally and domestically. Sir, can you talk about how your staff is preparing to enhance some of those opportunities for those international students?
Yes, I mean, I'm a great believer in international exchanges and enriching your own development by exposing yourselves to different cultures. It's one of the main reasons I am here. I'm very much looking forward to exploring the wider United States when the opportunity presents itself. And I believe this is a really important component of a young man's development. And so we promote as many opportunities as there are for the cadets that are coming from an international market here to the US to get out to different parts of the US to see some of the most historic and geographically amazing places. And in addition, as Cadet Navarro already mentioned, there are opportunities to go on other international trips. We've this trip going out to Spain shortly, and annually we have an exchange with the United Kingdom, going back to schools that are United Kingdom, and the cadets can go and spend some time visiting landmark places there, but also taking part in school and cadet activities in those locations. And by mixing with those overseas cadet students, it enriches their time, helps them understand different cultures, and again it builds up lifelong friendships. I know for a fact that the cadets I've been bringing to Riverside over the last few years and taking the Riverside cadets back to the UK have all kept in touch despite there being thousands of miles between them and now several years between that experience. They're still in regular touch. And so it's a great opportunity to network across the globe, and that's where we bring better understanding between ourselves and enable us to work better as different states and nations for the common good.
Great, thank you. Now, one thing that has been touched upon, and I'm going to take this opportunity to throw it out there. So we've talked about enhancing and exchanging ideas through the international community and our domestic students that we do have. One of the things that's been mentioned is we have an international student committee, and they are represented within our student body, and they have representation in our student senate. Mr. Lee, could you talk about how the creation of that that international student committee has enhanced your time here at Riverside?
Yes, sir. The creations of the international communities, it's done a huge impact on international students' life here. We change a lot. We improve their meals. We get more international foods. We bring them out on trips to like the Hong Kong market, which we did about a few weeks ago. We introduced them to some different culture, let them try some of the Asian foods, and expose them to a lot of the dances and a lot of the activity that they do during the Lunar New Year's or Tet for Vietnam. It's a lot of impact to our international cadets, because being here away from your families, they need a lot of activities, a lot of way that they can connect it with others that will build up their character later as they leave their academy.
Great, thank you so much, Mr. Lee. One of the many questions that is asked and has been submitted today by some agents is they wanted to talk about how do we deal with the emotional wellness of our students as we've emerged from this pandemic and any gaps that those students have had. I'd like to ask Colonel Przewski to go ahead and answer that question.
We have a very large safety net. My number one role here is the safe and secure environment in which these students can learn and develop. So safety and security are the single most important things to me. So let me talk a little bit about that. First off, we have a self-contained infirmary, 19 beds with a doctorate of nurse practitioner down there who can go ahead and administer medication under the supervision of a doctor as well, and we have registered nurses down there. We also have a trauma center hospital. There's only 4 in the state of Georgia. One of those is located about 3 kilometers from this campus. And so we have, from a health perspective, that's taken care of. From a mental health perspective, we have 4 counselors on the campus, one of which is a licensed clinical psychologist. Remember, we talked about mentorship and brotherhood and leadership. Any student at any time can go ahead and provide input back to us, as can any staff member, any teacher, or any parent. If they have any concern about they notice a student is seeming sad, or a student who's seeming anxious, or a student who isn't sleeping well, or a student who's gaining or losing a lot of weight, they report that to the chain of command. And every week we have a meeting. It's called the Behavioral Concerns Committee meeting, where we have all of these people are in the room, all these adults are in the room, and we take a look and say, what's going on with Cadet X or Cadet Y? And we examine that from a medical, a psychological, a emotional, an academic, a physical. We look at it from all the dimensions and say, what do we need to do to assist this cadet? It may be that the cadet just needs to have a call from home. It may be that the cadet just needs a little more sleep. It may be that they need a little bit more study time. Whatever it takes, we're going to meet the cadet where they're at and get them back on that mental health and physical health. We have a weight loss program. Some students come here a little bit overweight and they volunteer for the weight loss program. And so any aspect of where they are, we'll take them, we'll work with them. We are a self-contained campus. During COVID, or during the global pandemic, just about all the schools, public and private in America, closed for at least a year. Riverside stayed open. Because we have our own clinic, we have our own laundry, we have our own barber shop, we all have our own campus store, we have our own dining facilities, and so on. We were able to create a bubble around our campus where the employees stayed here on campus, the students stayed on campus. We had the ability to test and to isolate if necessary, if somebody did come down with COVID. But even if they were sick, they still had instruction going on. They were kept in a different wing, separate, but they received their meals separately. They received their instruction still from the faculty. They handed in their assignments, and we pushed through so that our students had a very distinct advantage upon graduation in that they spent all their time in the classrooms on campus learning instead of going home with school closures and the pattern of disengagement that comes with internet learning.
Well, that's a great answer. Thank you so much for that, sir. Dr. Moore, one thing that you did touch upon that I would like to go into further, can you talk about some of the uniqueness of that single gender education and how that's enhanced some of our students?
Sure, I'd be glad to. With our single gender education, I think one of the important things is that our students learn by doing. So for our middle school cadets, that might look like building a trebuchet as they're learning about world history and how catapults operated. For our high school students, it might look more like doing a Model UN experience, or by having debates in the class, or by I think one of our math classes this semester has been working on teaching our students how to do their tax returns. So very much hands-on work that will help them to engage with the material, help them to engage with one another. Another piece of single gender education really is giving our students an opportunity where boys are not competing with girls for who's responding to what. So we take away that whole piece of the, I don't want to say something that would be wrong. So they don't compete with females in the classroom. And then also I think the ability to move some. It's well known that young men need to move while they're learning, and so to that end, Our teachers have their classrooms situated to where if a cadet needs to move while instruction is taking place, he can do so in a respectful manner, but he will not necessarily get in trouble for doing that. I think finally what I would say about single gender learning is really being in tune with, and this is something that our teachers work on, is how the brain responds to what you're doing in the classroom. There's a good deal of research that talks about the fact that boys do not learn well once they have been yelled at. So we try for that not to be part of the experience in our classrooms, so that if a cadet does need to be redirected, it is done so respectfully, but firmly, but in such a way that it doesn't interrupt with that cadet's capacity for learning that day.
Great answer. Thank you for expanding upon that, Dr. Moore. So that being said, single gender and everything is questioned sometimes from our agents about do they have opportunities to interact with young women and have social engagement. So if I could go to Mr. Karinen Gufu, could you answer that if you have engagement time with young women or social opportunities to interact with them?
Yes, sir. Whenever we go on, let's say, a Walmart trip or Mall of Jordan trip, we have time to interact with women, or even a sporting event, we have time to interact with young women. And this school really does give you that discipline where you're not going to talk to her and just say whatever. You're respectful and you know your manners, and this school helps you build that confidence as well.
I would like to add on that question. So during one of the sessions of character development, we talked about how to talk to women. And here at the Academy, we have two major opportunities to talk to them, which is the military ball and the homecoming. Those are two very formal dances that we have. So girls from other schools or girls that we invite come to the school and we have a good time.
Great. That's good to know that you do have time. Right now, we are starting to come towards the end, and I want to be able to wrap this up nicely to be respectful of your time. So I'm going to start with Mr. Navarro, and if you'd just like to give a parting thought about something that you have enjoyed, especially about your time here at Riverside, and then we'll just go down the line to all of our participants.
I think that the thing that I have enjoyed the most here at the Academy is to be able to learn and how to motivate others to accomplish a task or a mission, and making an impact in others' lives and making them better and they making me better. I think that's a really good opportunity that I'm having, and I'm very grateful for that.
Mr. Kornegufu?
What I would say I'm most grateful for is the leadership and sporting opportunities I've been given here. I've been given the opportunity to really expand my talent as a leader, and especially now that I'm team captain for both cross country and the soccer team, I've learned that with the leadership that I've learned within the Berries, and I can take that now onto wherever I'm going.
Mr. Lee?
Yes, sir. My favorite thing at Riverside is the chance to interact with cadets, from students from the United States and from all over the world. I get to share my culture and get to ask them questions about their own cultures. We bring them to one of our trips to the Hong Kong markets. I share some of them about my culture food. I ask them some questions, and I enjoy spending time to talk about my culture with my fellow brother.
Great. And a little bit out of order, we're going to go to Colonel Pooley first on this side.
Whilst it's only been a very short time that I've been fully at Riverside, only the last couple of months, I've been visiting Riverside on and off with the exchange programme for over 5 years. And each time I've visited, I've been really encouraged by the young men I've met here, who I can see are growing. And I think that's the greatest reward I receive as a member of the team here, is seeing young men grow from boys to men, and how they overcome the challenges in front of them and become a success later in life.
Thank you. Dr. Moore.
Mine is actually very similar in that it is wonderful to watch the transformation, whether it's a sixth grader coming here in middle school who's away from home perhaps for the first time, or whether it's a high school student who has arrived on our campus and is trying to figure out who he wants to be as he grows up. Just being able to be part of that transformation and watch the young men that they become by the time they graduate is such a rewarding experience.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir?
Sure. So I've got wrap up, cleanup. And let me get to a bottom line here. You have thousands and thousands of schools that you could choose to direct your families to. And every one of those schools is going to talk about their own accolades. And what I would say to you is that take a look at what others say about us. Take a look at what the accrediting body says. The accrediting body consists of, it happens every 5 years. It's necessary for our diploma to be accredited so that colleges recognize their high school work. And when they outbriefed us, we were just reaccredited again this past Friday. And so that makes over 100 years of continuous accreditation for this institution. And on Friday in his outbrief, these are presidents of other schools that are similar, right? Private boarding schools, private day schools. And what they said to our students and to our staff and faculty at a gathering was, what makes this place different are two things. One is the leadership. The opportunity for students to have actual leadership opportunities, be it as a squad leader, platoon leader, first sergeant, company commander, president of the Student Senate, president of the International Student Committee, president of the class, to work downtown, working with community service projects off of the campus and learning how to work with the civilian community and so on. Those leadership opportunities are often, they are constantly being evaluated. Students receive feedback and are held accountable for the leadership opportunities they have. So they said that is one difference, where at their schools and most of these thousands of other schools, students are responsible only for themselves. Here, students learn how to lead and be responsible for others, and that pays off in college. So many of our college students who have gone off to college, they'll come back as college graduates and talk about how while they were in college, they knew how to prioritize, they knew how to problem solve, they knew how to put teams together when they had group projects in college, they knew how to meet deadlines, they knew how to look somebody directly in the eye and give them an answer, they knew how to welcome a professor into the classroom, they knew how to interact with the community. Those are all unique to this institution among the thousands that you have choices about. We talked about earlier about beliefs and matching them. Hopefully, those same beliefs that we hold so dear, your parents will hold as well. This is the start of a conversation here today in this web seminar and webinar, but you'll be able to work with Rob, you'll be able to reach out to myself or to anybody else on the campus to get your questions answered. We ask that you give us serious consideration. Look at what we've accomplished, look at our national championships, look where we send our kids to college, look what our accrediting bodies say, and I think you'll be satisfied with your choice.
So at this time, we have come to the conclusion. We should be seeing on your screen the contact information for Colonel Przewski, Dr. Moore, and Lieutenant Colonel Pooley. Their email is available to you at this time. I'm going to go ahead and keep talking, but that is up there. Right now, too, hopefully we're going to transition to mine. Once again, I am Rob Parker. I am the Assistant Director of Admissions for Recruiting here at Riverside, and I am the International Counselor. You have my email address, my phone number to my cell phone where I do receive text messages, and also WhatsApp. And coming soon to that phone as well will be WeChat to help accommodate agents out of China. So at this time, we thank you for taking time. On behalf of the President of Riverside, Colonel Stosh Przewski, on the staff and our students here at Riverside, we thank you for taking time out of your schedule to see what makes us such a great opportunity for your families as you navigate the path to Riverside Prep.